Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh! Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will, Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome. This is Wacky Wednesday on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm the blog father, Adam Best. As always, I'm joined by the golden voice of Sterling Holmes. Sterling, brother, did you recuperate, recharge, rejuvenate, all those words during the bye week?
The opposite. I went to the Mizzou Texas A&M game and watched a third stringer get pummeled, but Missouri's defense looked great, so that was kind of cool. Quite frankly, I feel like I watched what the Chiefs are going to do to the Broncos. It was foreshadowing, only this time around I was on the opposite side of things, but it's great. Drank a lot of adult beverages. Went to the old fraternity, which is now the new fraternity because we got a brand new house and it is badass. It was alumni weekend for us. Got to go to a couple fun spots. The piano bar is back open in Como. We went to Addison's. If you are a Missouri fan or have ever been there, Addison's is great. And then obviously hit up El Rancho post game. So yeah, I didn't really recuperate. I didn't really relax, but I had a great time.
I just kind of like step back from football, step back from Twitter. I did watch the early round of games on the Red Zone just because that's like when the Chiefs aren't playing at noon, that's like my thing. The witching hour, I mean, it just doesn't get any better than the witching hour. But other than that, I really did recuperate and I'm feeling great. I have to tell you, I'm feeling great. The rest of the AFC doesn't look very good, in my opinion. I mean, and there might be a few exceptions there. But this is not some unbeatable gauntlet of rivals that the Chiefs are going to have to like get through to get back to the promised land and get to the playoffs, first of all. But before we get into all of that, we've got a little bit of business.
Yeah, and this is something that I've actually really enjoyed. I'm really glad this company came on and started sponsoring with us because it's House of Atlas, and they make just damn good razors. And let me just set the scene for you guys. Let's say you're heading to your partner's place for the holidays and you're sitting here going, I got a nice little scruff going on, but let's say you're meeting their dad. And let's be real. He might be judging you silently or not. He could be. Wouldn't you want to be clean shaven? Wouldn't you want to make a good first impression? Well, show up looking sharp and let everything else take care of itself. And by the way, you can get House of Atlas at Target. Just go to Target or Target.com. It is super easy to get, and it is a damn good razor. So I love the razor personally. I was on the electric kick for a long time, okay? I'll fully admit it. I didn't feel like I got as good of a shave with electric as I do with just a normal straight razor. And the straight razor from House of Atlas looks damn good. Their shaving cream is outstanding. Their aftershave is great. Doesn't make you look and smell like a 85-year-old great grandpa. But their razor, it doesn't give you the nicks and cuts that a lot of other handheld razors were giving me. I was a huge fan. I leave it right now at the club. If you know me, I'm a big golfer, so a lot of times after rounds, I'll hit up the sauna or steam room, then shave with House of Atlas, and boom, that's my nice little evening or weekend. It's great. So you can get House of Atlas at Target stores nationwide or, again, Target.com. I'm just telling you, it is outstanding. So don't stress over last-minute gifts or disappointing your potential father-in-law. Go and get you House of Atlas.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have to do that promo because between the stash and the stubble. I don't think I was the appropriate spokesperson for that.
I've been shaving a lot. There's something satisfying about it. And so honestly, once House of Atlas sent me the razors, I've started to shave because I'm like, okay, this is kind of fun. I kind of enjoy doing it more than the electric. Feels good, smell good, look good. I enjoy it. And by the way, Conway Liddy, always loved your name, Conway Liddy. Outstanding. You went to Rockbridge High School. I know that. Well, I didn't know that you went there, but that's incredible. So then you are now a big El Rancho fan. I'm glad you know all about that. Shout out Rockbridge in the house, the non-Cupies. I know a lot of people who went to Rockbridge. I'll have to talk with you sometime because I don't know how old you are, Conway. Let me know how old you are because I know a ton of people who went to Rockbridge.
I have a family member that went to Rockbridge, and in high school, I beat Rockbridge football many moons again. But I hear you on the shaving ritual. I think if you're going to do it, you have to do it right. You have to get excited about it. You have to use high quality materials. You can't tear up the face. And I've had some like heavy shaving periods too, obviously not in one now. Let's get into our first segment. It is the midway point. Essentially, there's no true midway point now that they have 17 games. I mean, we should probably make that 18 to make things a little bit more even, but I digress. So it's the perfect time to determine which conference rivals are speed bumps and which ones might be true roadblocks. Welcome to Crown or Clown. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through. I've already determined these teams auto clowns, and clowns are the teams that just have no real shot at winning a Super Bowl, right? We actually had some technical difficulties today, or I was going to have the Dennis Green crown their ass, and then enough with the clown from Dark Knight, but no multimedia for this version, maybe in the future. So the auto clowns are Bengals, Browns, Dolphins, Jets, Raiders, Titans. Those 6 teams gone. See ya. The other 10 teams remaining, actually 9 if you exclude the Chiefs, are something we're going to go through and determine if they have a shot at the crown or they're actually just clowns. And we're going to go in order of current playoff seeding, starting with not this week's opponent, but next week's opponent, the Indianapolis Colts. They have not looked as like unbeatable as they previously looked these past couple weeks. Sterling, where are you at with the Colts?
Clown. They are the definition of in between. And I hate sitting on a fence. This is probably the only one I'm going to do it on. If I had to choose which one, I think they're closer to crown than clown. I think they're a good team. I think that they're a difficult opponent for the Chiefs, actually. So I guess in this exercise, I'll do crown. For example, this might be funny too. I don't think if they played the Broncos 10 times, they'd do well in a lot of those games because Daniel Jones under pressure is very different from Daniel Jones with a clean pocket. Well, the Chiefs don't get pressure with 4. That's not what they do. If they don't get pressure with 4 against the Colts, well, Daniel Jones, shockingly, might carve you up. And oh, yeah, they have one of the best running backs in the game with Jonathan Taylor. They are a complete team. They have a very good offensive line. They have a really good defense. They have good enough weapons. Alec Pierce has really come on very, very strong to pair with Michael Pittman Jr. Tyler Warren is a great tight end. It all comes down to that entire team comes down to Daniel Jones under pressure versus not under pressure. If he is forced to be the guy, I don't like their chances. But in most games, he's not tasked to be the guy. And so against the Chiefs, you're going to have a A-plus Spags game because you ain't getting pressure with 4, especially against that O-line, which then leaves you susceptible to some of the other things that they can do through the air with Tyler Warren and the lack of their weapons. Yeah, they're much closer to crown to me. They are a crown for the majority of opponents, and I think crown against the Chiefs. I'm not saying the Chiefs can't beat them. I'm just saying it's a tough matchup for KC.
Yeah, I'm on the fence here. I was high on this team coming into the season because I think if you take the quarterback out of the equation, it's a really great setup. And now that you've given defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo Sauce Gardner, they're even more set up defensively. And that's a scary guy in a playoff environment. So I'm going to say crown, because we've seen quarterbacks like Eli Manning, when things are perfect around them, go on runs. Brad Johnson. I mean, the list goes on and on. Joe Flacco. It's a little harder nowadays, but that offense, they have such a plethora of weapons. You mentioned Alec Pierce, who I think has been a revelation for them as a field stretcher, but a field stretcher plus. He can do more than that. He's not just MVS. He's a free agent. He's going to get the bag this offseason. But you also have Josh Downs. So, like, if you want to take away Alec Pierce, you're going to have Josh Downs eating underneath. You're going to have Michael Pittman, who is a great possession receiver. And Tyler Warren, to your point, is already looking like a top 5 tight end in the National Football League. And you like Bernard Raymond. You like Quentin Nelson on that offensive line. It's a good offensive line. So the thing with this team is they are kind of game script dependent. If they can get a lead on you and Daniel Jones can stick to play action and first reads and not have to kind of like put the team on his shoulders, they can beat anybody. They can get, especially if they get a bye, they could get hot for 2 weeks and make the Super Bowl. Especially with that defensive coordinator and that play caller, I don't think that's impossible. Do I think it's probable? Probably not. I think you're probably going to get Spagnuolo. I know they can't get 4, but if he has time to drop a game plan for Daniel Jones, and this is where it's really helpful that the Chiefs get to play them in the regular season, because they will learn, the Chiefs algorithm will learn a lot from Daniel Jones in this first tilt. And I think they'll be even better the second time around. We've seen that with the Bills year in, year out. They come into the second matchup with a better game plan. But I think we're tentatively going crown here.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Now, this week's opponent, the Denver Broncos. Gosh, such a good defense. I mean, arguably the best defense in the league, right? Them or Houston. But I don't know, man. Bo Nix last Thursday night against the Raiders left a lot to be desired. Where are you at with the Broncos?
65% clown.
Yeah.
Probably 65%. Like, they're not a full clown, but they at least have the big ass shoes on. How about that? They're not a clown. It's a normal guy. And then you look down, you're like, damn, why are you wearing size 19 big ass red shoes? That's the Broncos right now. You're like, that sticks out. That doesn't seem right. You somehow look normal. You look normal. And then you're like,
no
but
wig.
You're not normal. No red nose. It's not obvious. But once you start digging deeper, you go, yeah, that guy's a clown. Because they're not good offensively. That defense, I think, is the second best in the NFL. I do think the Texans are the best. I think the Texans right now, if they had any offense, are the best in the NFL. But they don't. And the Broncos have at least a slight offense. I don't trust Bo Nix. I think it's Sean Payton dependent. I think their weapons are not good. I think Cortland Sutton is at times undervalued and at times overvalued. I think Chiefs fans overvalue him because of what he does against KC. I think he's undervalued at some aspects of what people think he is outside of Kansas City and Denver. He's fine. But outside of him, who scares you? J.K. Dobbins looks injured, and he's going to miss this game more than likely. R.J. Harvey is a receiving back / short yardage guy. Their weapons are not great. Evan Ingram always looks the part, but doesn't hardly ever play the part. They have Troutman as the backup tight end. They bring in Mercedes Lewis because they're tight end 3 and 4. Atkins, their fullback tight end combo, is looking like he's going to miss this game. And you look around, and Surtain's even questionable, right? But what do they do well? They're elite defensively. That defensive line is the best. It's the best in the NFL. I'll go best. Because I think the Texans are more complete defense overall. Like, I think Will Anderson's the most disruptive if you had to pick between these defensive line players.
They have better edges. They have better edges, but not...
Consistently, this Broncos defense has so many guys in the D-line they throw at you. And it's not always the biggest names. So people, I think, almost undervalue the defensive line and just overrate the defense as a whole. This D-line gets pressure on you. Nick Benito is one of the most underrated defensive pass rushers in the entire NFL. Their D-line is just insane. It's absurd. They're historically good. But I don't trust the offense. And if you told me in a playoff game who you going to choose, the Broncos or the Colts? Well, actually, that's a good matchup because that's like the one thing that bleeps up the Colts. I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm still going Clowns. Sorry. I rambled.
You had a lot of good points, though. And I also want to mention Zach Allen, the defensive tackle, who I just think is a monster. He's had a sack 3 weeks in a row. He's someone that the Chiefs interior really is going to have to make sure doesn't wreck the game, along with Nick Benito. I also want to mention Troy Franklin, who I've been a big fan of, and actually took a lot of heat from being a fan of. It's the Xavier Worthy versus Troy Franklin conversation from a couple years ago isn't looking as disastrous as it did for me last year. I think he's a good player, but they don't have a wide receiver one. They don't have a Rashee Rice. They don't have a Travis Kelce. I think Sean Payton is he's probably in the God tier of play callers. He is up there with the McVays and the Reeds and the Shanahans and the Ben Johnson, Steichen, those guys. He's probably top 6-7 play callers in the National Football League. But I just don't think that surrounding cast is good enough to elevate Bo Nix. Sean Payton can only do smoke and mirrors for so long. If you switched Daniel Jones and Bo Nix, I would probably feel the same about the Colts. I think they're probably comparable quarterbacks, but the Colts surrounding talent is just so much better. J.K. Dobbins being potentially out for a stretch. R.J. Harvey looks explosive, but he hasn't been particularly efficient. They have Jaleel McLaughlin and Tyler Bidet. I don't know about those guys. They seem like ancillary pieces. So I don't know that they're going to be able to run the football.
Also, when did Tyler Bidet go to Bidet at Mizzou? It was always Tyler Beatty.
I know.
Why did he switch it? What was Mizzou always saying it wrong? I am flummoxed by this new Tyler Bidet. It's Tyler Beatty.
I guess he got to the NFL and he's got out of Missouri. He's like, I can be fancy now. I can be fancy now. I'm with you. I think this team, going to Denver and playing them, they're always going to be a tough place to play. But the Chiefs coming off a bye, I really, really like their chances. And where I could squint and see the Colts rattling off 3 playoff wins in a row, I'm not sure Denver is going to even win the AFC West. So they're going to win 3 games in the AFC and get to the Super Bowl. I just don't see Bo Nix and that offense having that level of consistency for a playoff run. So clown it is. This one's going to be very interesting. Drake May and the New England Patriots, who are not on the docket for the Chiefs in the regular season, but this is a team the Chiefs, if they make the playoffs, and I think they will, they could very possibly run into. Where are you at with New England?
Crown. I think they're great. I think that they are a really, really good team. I think Drake May is a really good quarterback. I didn't really believe it coming out of college. I just thought that there was so much variance for him. But that New England team with Mike Vrabel is chef's kiss. If you're a Patriot fan, you went from Tom Brady to having a 4-year window, 4 years of disastrous play, and then now you get Drake May. Good for you guys. They don't even have great weapons. It's not like Drake May in New England scoring points and they have this great receiving core. They're fine, but Kayshon Boutte is basically Justin Ross. The comps were very, very guys who were very good year 1, year 2 in college, fell off, a whole bunch of stuff, fell in the draft, and now Kayshon Boutte looks really good. Pop Douglas has just insane speed, athleticism. They run the football very, very well. Mike Vrabel's aggressive. The defense is going to be good because Mike Vrabel demands that. I like this New England team, man. I know they haven't had the toughest schedule in the world, and I get all that stuff, but a Mike Vrabel-led team does scare me to an extent. He did a great job with Tennessee. I was never on the understanding of why he got fired. That was ridiculous to me. I thought it was absurd. And then you see that, the Tennessee Titans bleeped it up because it's the Tennessee Titans. Goes to New England's done a great job. I'm crowning them. I think that New England's a really, really good team.
I'm with you. It wasn't his fault what happened in Tennessee. And I think where it all unraveled was they traded away A.J. Brown, right? And A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry as a combo They were making Ryan Tannehill look leaps and bounds better than Ryan Tannehill really was. And they had a good defense, and the defense we all know is not as sticky year to year as offense is. And I think he had trouble with the talent level they had there. I don't think they've been particularly well run. Now, new GM from Kansas City's there now, so hopefully that changes. But Drake May is the real deal. And I look at him in New England versus Daniel Jones in Indianapolis, and it's a pretty different situation because Daniel Jones, there's an argument right now that he has the best supporting cast in the league. Certainly the deepest supporting cast, the deepest, the healthiest. What Drake May has in New England, Kayshon Boutte's even out right now. Mac Hollins, of all people, vagabond, nomad Mac Hollins had 100-something yards this past Sunday. He's just dealing, man. Stephon Diggs looks good. Kyle Williams had a long touchdown. Just anyone they throw out there looks pretty good. And now you have Travion Henderson popping off explosive runs, 50-yard touchdowns. They've kind of been waiting on him. They're probably going to get Ramondre Stevenson back. They have a super easy schedule. I think the defense is pretty good. Where I have skepticism is I just think if you look at the post-Belichick era, it has been almost exclusively offensive coaches in the Super Bowl. And I just wonder if we're in an era where it's a little harder for a defensive coach to get his team there. Maybe this is one of the hurdles Josh Allen has been dealing with since he doesn't have an offensive coach, a play caller, the caliber of some of these head coach play callers on the offensive side. But obviously Mike Vrabel is a very good coach. He got to the AFC the AFC championship against the Chiefs. And I guess it would have been 2019 and just really ran into a buzzsaw, the starting of the Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill era. It's kind of running into the Sixers running into Kobe and Shaq in 2000 or something. Just, hey, it's not your fault. You just ran into a generational team. So I'm with you. I'm going to give them crown. I think they are true contenders. And I feel pretty strongly about that. Next up, I think is going to be a little bit different of a conversation. And that is Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin's Pittsburgh Steelers. How are we feeling about the black and gold?
Might be the definition of clown.
Yeah. You look in the dictionary, Aaron Rodgers, just looking right back at you.
It's Tomlin. They're going to go 9-8. We know this. Rodgers looks this past week horrible, just horrible. His mobility just looks gone, which is weird because it didn't look like that earlier on in the year. His arm strength is still there. I mean, you'll see him make some throws, and you just see the ball come off his hands, and at least I was very impressed with just the velocity it's coming off of, but it felt like some of the touch was gone. He overthrew DK by a long margin early in the game. No mobility. The run game is inconsistent. The defense, which was supposed to be great, and if you look at it on paper, it looks good. They've been bad. So unless that defense gets fixed, that offense is not going to carry them. It's a team that's probably a 9-8 team. They're probably, I don't know, we'll see, but they might even get caught by the Ravens and probably will get caught by the Ravens. That would be a disaster of what this could have been with the Lamar injury. Yeah, they're clowns to me, man. They got red nose and all.
I just don't really understand this build. Went out and got DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers just kind of feels like a hodgepodge that was slammed together. Caleb Johnson hasn't turned out at all. Their early, I think, third-round rookie running back that they drafted out of Iowa just has been a complete bust. I like Jaylon Warren, right? But
I will say it makes sense. The thought process made sense if you take into account that they thought their defense was going to be really good. The defense has been really bad. I mean, they're
old. That's the problem. They're really, really old.
The entire team, it feels like not to the same extent because they don't have Kobe, but it feels like the 04 Lakers when they brought in Carmelo and Gary Payton and the ring chasers, right? That's a little bit what this Steelers team feels like.
And my feelings on Mike Tomlin, I have mixed emotions. I'm very conflicted because he undoubtedly is a great leader of men, a great communicator. A lot of guys have left Pittsburgh and had meltdowns or, not even stuck in the league, especially at receiver, but at many positions. And he's good at getting the best out of his players. But I don't think he always makes great in-game adjustments. I don't think they've evolved as much as other programs. And his complete lack of courage on fourth down. I mean, he is the most timid coach on fourth down offensively in the league, and it's not even close. And I think it's almost crippling to this franchise.
Well, and part of it is if you don't have a mobile quarterback, that's a huge detriment on fourth downs.
Sure.
Like if you think of a lot of teams that go for it on fourth down, a lot have mobile quarterbacks. I mean, Ravens, Bills, Eagles.
What about the Lions though?
Lions don't. Lions but still Goff's more athletic at this point than Rodgers. I
think the ball out quick.
Yeah, I just think there's something, and again, they have better receivers. I mean, you look at the Steelers; they have DK and then who? Calvin Austin,
Roman Wilson. It's not great.
It's not good.
They're just, I don't really understand the Steelers. I think that they are just refusing to bottom out, and they need to bottom out. They need to bottom out and get a real quarterback and just start over, but they refuse to hit the reset button. And they might back into the playoffs, but they're once again going to be a speed bump. You remember several years ago, Ben Roethlisberger's last game in Kansas City in the playoffs, and the Chiefs just absolutely boat race those guys. And I think they're setting themselves up for a similar ending, a similar fate this season. I feel a little bit differently about the next team, even though I do still have some mixed emotions. That is the Los Angeles Chargers. Sterling, where are we at with these guys? It's tough.
I honestly think I believe in them more than the Broncos.
Because the quarterback.
But the injuries to the offensive line, they have one clown shoe on. No, you know what? They have just the hat. Normal guy, no nose, no shoes, no little spritzer that's going to get you in the face.
The hat or the wig?
Either one, your choice.
The rainbow wig. The
rainbow wig. Where you're like, why are you wearing that? And he's like, well, I don't know. I'm not really a clown, but I thought the wig would look good. And you're like, guy, that doesn't look good. You look like a little bit of a clown. That's where I think the Chargers are at, because Justin Herbert's great. Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen are great. Aronde Gadsden looks like a legitimate tight end. Quentin Johnson at times has shown a lot of flashes this year. Getting
a Martin Hampton back, allegedly.
That'll be big. Defensively, they're fine. Tierra Tart's been great. I mean, they got some guys that have really bounced back on that defense. It's just the offensive line, and they've held up so far, to an extent, right? I'm not saying they've been great, but when you lose, 3 tackles, including the best tandem in the NFL with Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, and you're still finding ways, I tip my cap, man. And Justin Herbert, we know, is a tough SOB. He's tough as hell. He keeps trying to fight his way. I believe in them more than the Broncos just because I think the upside of the offense allows them to be more of a contender. But that offensive line, we'll just see how it maintains the rest of the year.
I thought their defense might be a little stronger. I was really thinking Deion Henley might have a huge breakthrough season. He's a pretty good player, but I don't think that has really transpired. I don't think they've been anything resembling a dominant defense or anything like that. And I remember thinking this offseason, they just needed to do more. They needed to add more to get over the hump, especially defensively. So I don't know. Greg Roman is a play caller. I've never really thought he's the guy you want in the playoffs, in a playoff battle. I think we've seen that before. So I'm going to call them begrudgingly. I'm going to call them a crown with you, just out of respect for Justin Herbert, who I think is probably a top 6 or 7 quarterback. Who are the guys I have ahead of him? Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, Stafford, definitely Stafford. I mean, Daniels, he hasn't been healthy enough to say. Like after that, like Herbert has to be right in that mix, right? Especially with this increased mobility that we're seeing from him this year. So is there anybody else you would definitively put over Justin Herbert at this point?
No, I think Hurts has a case because you know my thoughts on winning. I know the team. I don't want to get into that conversation argument of Jalen Hurts necessarily. It's not a fun one because no one wins, especially the listener. Baker Mayfield, I think it can be the category now at this point with the way Baker's played. But yeah, if we're going strictly talent or like arm strength and accurate, yeah, Herbert's been incredible. At some point, though, winning does matter, and that's a different story. But again, when you have perpetual injuries to your entire team, it's not always on you.
And we've seen in Kansas City having issues at the tackle position can really be hugely disruptive to a quarterback who depends on that position. I think, especially an elite quarterback, depends on that position even more than their fleet of weapons. I agree with you. I don't think wins are a quarterback's stat, but I think like in season, like game to game, but I think over an expanded period of time, they do start to become a quarterback stat. If you're not getting playoff wins as an elite quarterback, are you really elite? Next up, I think this is an easy answer, but they did clown themselves last week. The Buffalo Bills, I think this, we talked a little bit about them putting so much importance on the Kansas City Chiefs as a regular season opponent. And I think the Chiefs live more rent-free in the Bills' head than any opponent lives in any other NFL team's head. I think it's unquestionable. They have been such a monkey on their back for over half a decade now. And this is a team that just sits around and must think all the time, like, are we ever going to get past these guys? Or are we just going to be the 90s New York Knicks or something? A footnote in the Patrick Mahomes story. So they just had a huge emotional adrenaline dump against the Miami Dolphins. I don't think the Miami Dolphins are that great. I do think that Mike McDaniel on any given Sunday, he's a good coach. I think their former GM has put him in a bad situation. So what the hell happened in Miami with the Bills and the Dolphins? And are the Bills still a serious contender?
Yeah, Crown, they're a serious contender. I believe in the Bills still. Dolphins, they do this a few times every year where you go out and you're right. Mike McDaniel, I don't think he's a good coach. I think he's a great OC. I think he's one of those guys that is going to be a long-time OC after this head coaching stint and do a great job. Different situation, scenario, all that stuff, but it's a little bit like Spags. Like Spags is going to be the best defensive coordinator in maybe NFL history, and he's going to probably be a Hall of Fame DC. But his head coaching stint wasn't great. But you can still do some things as a DC when you're the head coach. And we see the Dolphins just a couple of times a year. This was one of those games, right? It happens. Devon Achane's a great player. The running attack of the Dolphins attacks the weakness of the Bills, and we saw it. That is the Bills' weakness, stopping the run. Chiefs couldn't do it. They actually kind of did it. They just stopped doing it. It was frustrating. I think the Bills have more weaknesses this year than in past seasons, but with the AFC being as open as it is, it's maybe the best opportunity they've still had, even with them having more weaknesses than in past seasons. I still believe in Josh Allen. I still think he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. James Cook's great. The receivers are fine. Dalton Kincaid's a really good tight end.
He's hurt right now, though.
Contender. They're still a contender to me.
I mean, as long as Josh Allen is upright, they are a contender to me. That's the level of respect he commands. Watching that game was extremely frustrating, especially when you're watching Breece Hall pop off a 40-yard reception for a touchdown. And you're just thinking, man, the Chiefs just – and I know some of us see this differently. I think there is an argument that maybe they could have ran the ball against the Bills, but I think there also is undoubtedly an argument that, they don't have Devon Achane or even someone a tier down from Devon Achane. Hell, maybe even someone 2 tiers down from Devon Achane. So I think like we saw that the Bills run defense can definitely get exposed. even to an inferior team, I think that could plague them in the playoffs. I don't know that the Chiefs are going to be able to take advantage of that weakness, which is worrisome, but they're a contender nonetheless. I think they have, hopefully Dalton, for their sake, Dalton Kincaid comes back. I know they've got Josh Palmer waiting in the wings, who's not a world beater, but he's another piece that can contribute. So crown. Jacksonville Jaguars, I know they beat the Chiefs in maybe the flukiest game I've ever seen in my life. Certainly one of the flukier games this season. But they lost to Davis Mills last week. You know what I mean? Like a furious fourth quarter comeback by Davis Mills. And Trevor Lawrence, I know we talked about this. He's a good dude. Like he's someone you want to root for. He was the prince who was promised, and he's just not that guy. It's just never going to happen for Trevor Lawrence. I don't think. This team looked like really good with Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter and all the hype. And man, that has just fallen apart very quickly.
Thomas has been injured. Travis Hunter now out for the year. I hate doing this for a team that beat Kansas City Chiefs. Like I hate doing this because it sounds like we're the clowns saying it, but the Jags are clowns, man. Their defense has come back down to earth a little bit. Devin Lloyd's still playing really good football.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not really good. They're not good. They're like the most average team in the NFL, probably. Like if you say who's an average team, probably the Jags. They're kind of average. It's a great name, Jags. Just a guy. That's what their team are. Their team is. They're just a guy. They're the Jags.
There was a lot of hype around Liam Cohen, and was he going to be the guy to finally elevate Trevor Lawrence in the stratosphere? It's just that's not the way it's gone. And I think maybe we got to give Baker Mayfield a little bit more credit because he got Dave Canales a head coaching job. He helped get Liam Cohen a head coaching job. I'm not saying those guys are bad coaches, but I think probably we didn't give Baker Mayfield enough credit and probably gave those play callers a bit too much. This team is going to be very, very, very lucky to get in the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen. They're a clown. Next up is the Houston Texans, a perennial Sterling Holmes favorite because of that vaunted defense. I'm going to let you take this one first off. I mean, I have some thoughts, but what do you say?
Yeah, I can't. I don't believe in them. They're clowns. Defense is the best in the NFL, but that offense right now is abysmal. The offensive line might be the worst in the NFL, even including the injuries to the Chargers. Davis Mills, no idea how he did it, man. CJ Stroud has somewhat struggled this year as well. And again, I don't think it's all his fault. Injuries galore to the wide receiver room that, again, on paper, when fully healthy, they're outstanding. They're not. No Tank Dell. Nico Collins is back. Looked really good with Davis Mills. Dalton Schultz is a fine tight end. It's just not enough. There's just not enough in Houston. You know, if you told me they snuck their way into the back part of the playoffs, I could believe it. The point differential still looks actually pretty good. But until I see more from that offense, they're clowns to me.
They got a couple pieces. I mean, Woody Marks is all right. He'd look pretty good on the Chiefs right now, I can tell you that. And, of course, we like Nico Collins, even in a bit of a down year for Nico Collins, which I don't think is his fault. And they've got some good supporting cast members in that wide receiver core. But that offensive line is atrocious. And I just think the play calling for the second year in a row, I know they fired their offensive play caller last season, and you thought, okay, if they can get a better play caller in here and maybe the offensive line looks better. Well, the offensive line doesn't look any better, and I don't think the play calling looks any better. And, you know, you love DeMeco Ryans as a defensive-minded coach, but is he going to eventually lose his job for his inability to put together a passable offense? They don't need, they need to do what the Broncos are doing offensively to be a contender, basically. And they can't do it. And I don't know that they're ever going to do it. And I don't think that's fair to CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud has been set up to fail. The Davis Mills thing, the Jaguars have been extremely friendly to quarterbacks. And he just came out and said, you know, Jameis Winston YOLO in that fourth quarter and got hot. Not a lot of tape on Davis Mills. Although I do think it's funny, Davis Mills has 6 wins in his career, and 3 of them are against Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. I mean, come on, man. You have some self-respect, Jacksonville. It's rough out here. All right. We've talked more than we should have about the Texans. Let's close out very quickly with the Ravens.
I wouldn't want the Chiefs to play them in the postseason.
No, sir.
I mean, again, that's all relative because that means the Chiefs are for sure in the postseason, and the Chiefs have done well against Baltimore and Lamar in the postseason. Okay, so I know all of that. But the Ravens, no one really wants to admit it, but they look pretty good now that Lamar's back. Now, I will say he missed practice today with knee soreness, so something to monitor, right? That's something to keep track of. You know, if he wants to sit out a week since I'm playing Lamar in fantasy football this week, that'd be great. It'd be lovely. But I hate it. I think the Ravens are a contender still. So I kind of want to crown them. I hate doing it.
I'm with you, man. I'm a Lamar apologist. I've got to crown him. I think he's a special player. I think in terms of, gosh, if there was an NFL draft right now and you repicked all the players, he'd probably go 3rd, man. He'd probably be the 3rd overall pick behind Mahomes and Allen. I think he would.
I think he's like 6th. I think his style, it's so unique. I think that it's
durability.
Yes, I think it's like Patrick, Josh, 1, 2. And I think some people will go younger. I think Drake May would go a lot higher than people think. I think some of the youth aspect would be really popular. Like, I think Joe Burrow would go lower than people think too because of the injuries he's had already. Like, I do, like, doesn't matter. That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, I think right now in this moment, though, he is one of the best players in the league. And that offense is just so specific. It's so specifically designed for him and Derrick Henry to be together right now that I think when you're missing Lamar, it just doesn't really work. That was the plan for Derrick Henry, and they just look awful for the most part when Lamar's out. I mean, most teams would. You know, I think the Chiefs could hang in there a little bit. We've seen it in the past with Matt Moore. I mean, not a lot of people remember Matt Moore from that first Super Bowl season, but I just think this is more about the AFC North being bad and respect for John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson. I think they're going to end up winning this division just because Pittsburgh's not for real. Cleveland is trash. And I mean, that Cincinnati Bengals defense, Bob Sutton can't even look at it. It is atrocious, man. It is one of the worst defenses in NFL history.
What's funny is if you think about it, they lost those 2 games by a point, and they choked both away. They lost to the Jets 39-38, and then they choked. I guess it wasn't 1 point, but they choked against the Bears down the stretch. All they had to do was not give them a touchdown, and they, of course, did. They win those 2 games. We're sitting back saying the Bengals have an outside chance, actually a decent chance of making the playoffs with Joe Burrow coming back. But because the defense was, again, historically bad, 39 points to the Jets. Justin Fields had like 9 yards that past week. It was like 54. They squandered their season because of that D.
You know, maybe it's not Lou Anarumo's fault after all. You know, like it was always funny to me that they fired him and scapegoated him. But you know, I think they're a clown. But it'll be good to see Joe Burrow playing again. But props to fellow 40-something Joe Flacco. The dude has been dealing, absolutely dealing. It's been fun to watch. Let's finish up with our other segment, the Kansas City stock market rapid fire style. We're going to rattle these off since we went a little long on crown or clown, but I think that was fun. And I think we feel probably pretty good about the Chiefs going forward. If they can just right their own ship and get their shit together, I think they're going to be okay. So let's welcome back a little game we call the Kansas City stock market.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
Fugazi, Fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a fairy dust.
Tell me the difference between stupid and illegal, and I'll have my wife's brother arrested.
It's been a while, man. It's fun to see that clip back. So Xavier Worthy has been back 6 games and recorded over 55 total yards only once. It's a sophomore slump, and the Chiefs need more from him. Pump or dump?
Okay, well, I don't think it's a sophomore slump, but I think the Chiefs need more from him. I don't think it's his fault. I think the Chiefs are using him like McCole Hardman when he is a different player than that. I think he should be getting the Hollywood Brown snaps, and I think that Tyquan Thornton should be getting the Xavier Worthy snaps. Tyquan Thornton's better as that deep ball guy at this point in their careers. I think Xavier Worthy still needs to grow in that regard, come back and go up for the ball. Stop just almost giving up on deep balls if it's not right in your breadbasket. But I think he's a really good route runner. I think even better than Hollywood Brown, but they don't use him in that way. It just, I have an issue with the roster construction as far as some of the snap counts being handled out at wide receiver. Yet, end of the day, I don't think it's all his fault. So, dump, take that as you will. It's like it's a half pump, half dump.
I'm in the same boat. I'm really befuddled by the Xavier Worthy experiment. It looked so promising last year, all the way through the Super Bowl. He looked, and of course, utilization. You're talking about utilization. When Rashee Rice was gone, they were forcing him the ball. They were getting him some easy touches, and that was helpful. And we've seen similar players have similar issues. Jameson Williams in Detroit wasn't getting the damn ball, and Dan Campbell took over, and he said, let's actually have him run some crossers. Like, let's get him the ball and get him in space. And Jameson Williams last week, it was against a bad Commanders defense, but he blew up. And I hope that the Chiefs stood back during the bye week and looked at what you're talking about, because I think some of it is like Worthy can evolve a little bit as a route runner, but they are using him like McCole Hardman, and he's just better than that. But the efficiency has been terrible. If you look at yards per route run, he is 5th among their 5 main receivers. Rashee Rice is first at 2.56, and a phenomenal number. Tyquan Thornton at a very respectable 1.71. I think that shows he should get more playing time, frankly. Hollywood Brown at 1.61, Juju Smith-Schuster at 1.31, and then Xavier Worthy all the way down at 1.3. The whole veteran deference thing sometimes with Andy and Spags drives me crazy. Like, I think maybe Hollywood Brown, how additive is he at this point? Would the Chiefs be better off if he was like on IR? Just thinking out loud.
I don't wish injury on anyone. I just wish that. I think right now Tyquan's more efficient with Xavier and Rice than Hollywood is with Worthy, and I think Tyquan needs more PT, is what it is.
Hollywood Brown is just, I don't wish him to get injured. I'm just thinking theoretically, he's a worse version of Tyquan Thornton deep, and in the short to intermediate areas, he's less explosive at this point in his career than Worthy. So I think he's kind of like a tweener of the two and not as good. He doesn't have like the great traits of either one of them at this point. So, but Andy seems to want to play him, and he seems to want to play Juju, and that's just what we're going to see. But hopefully they figured that out during the bye week, and hopefully we're going to see more Tyquan Thornton, because I think the deep ball has been missing a little bit, and early in the season he was giving them that element.
Yeah.
Josh Simmons is back on the practice field and ready to go. The silver lining of his extended absence is that Jaylon Moore got ready for emergency spot duty as a swing tackle, talking about the playoffs. Pump or dump?
Yeah, pump. It's fine. We saw Jaylon Moore. We saw that he's a better run blocker, but we also saw that Josh Simmons is vastly better in pass pro. So at least you know what you have in Jaylon Moore. And now we know that the Josh Simmons, Jaylon Moore battle, we have the outcome, and we saw it firsthand. Yeah, I feel more comfortable with Josh Simmons than Jaylon Moore. But again, Jaylon Moore is better than what the Chiefs had at left tackle all of last year. So to an extent, you're okay. We just all, I think, prefer Josh Simmons.
I'm with you, but I think seeing a tackle play defense, a backup tackle acquit himself pretty well compared to what we saw from the guys that carousel we saw last season. It just makes me feel like they have a fairly good emergency option for either left or right tackle in the playoffs, which they didn't have last year, and it cost them dearly. So I am pumping as well. This season, Drew Tranquill has been worse in pass coverage, while Leo Chenal has been worse versus the run. Time to start the Jeffrey Bassa era, pump or dump?
Dump. I still think Leo overall is a really good player. I still think Drew overall is a really good player, even though his past that Bills game was bad, man. It was bad. I'm not ready to give up on Drew because I thought the early part of the year, I thought Drew Tranquill looked really good, actually, and I thought Drew Tranquill was having a great season. I'm not ready to say it's Bassa season. I'm just not there yet. I still believe if it's a couple more games of Drew Tranquill really struggling in coverage, then we can entertain this. But I do think that overall, Drew, to start the year, looked great. Let's hope the bye gets him fresh because they're going to need Tranquill. They trust him as well. So I'm dumping on this one.
I'm a slight dump. I don't know. I go back and forth here. I don't know that Leo Chenal is going to get re-signed, and I don't think Drew Tranquill was in the long-term plans. They spent the 156th overall pick on Bassa. I think he's a better prospect. I think he was a great value there, but they could have picked a number of running backs there that would have really helped this team this season, and they chose not to. That's sunk cost, whatever. That's crying over spilled milk, but it did happen. And I think at some point they have to start preparing for the future. He is a really good athlete. He's really fast. He's a former safety. I think he could help them in coverage. My hope is that they took the bye week to re-examine what is happening when teams are putting them in base defense and kind of throwing all over them, especially to the tight end. And maybe they can rectify that a little bit because none of them, frankly, have looked very good in coverage. And Drew Tranquill, that's supposed to be his calling card. We know Nick Bolton, that's not really his specialty, but hopefully they can be a little bit better out of the bye. Last one here, Brashard Smith has averaged 0 receptions the past 2 games. He was averaging 3.5 per game the previous month. The Chiefs need to get the explosive rookie going out of the bye. Pump or dump?
Yeah, I don't care about him getting more touches as a running back because I think there's still a lot of room for growth there. From what I've seen as far as actual handoffs, I know he had 14 carries and against a team that they knew he was running the football against stacked boxes. I know, but even some of the smattering of handoffs he's had earlier in games hasn't been super inspiring. It's been the pass catching aspect that has me inspired. Now I know you have to hand it off a couple times to keep the defense honest, or else they know it's going to be a pass to him. I'm okay with an uptick in snaps for him, especially if Pacheco is going to miss any more games. I don't need to see. And Clyde was fine, by the way, guys. That first carry, not his fault. And second carry, he got 7 yards. This is not like a knock on Clyde necessarily, but maybe cut back on Kareem, cut back on Clyde, play Brashard Smith more, and get more quick passes to him, more screen plays to Brashard. That's where I think he thrives.
I'd like to see him used a little bit more like McCole Hardman, actually. Some of those end arounds and some of those things and actually we took Xavier Worthy in the first round. Let's utilize him like a real big boy receiver, and let's use Brashard Smith as the gadget player. He's the more gadgety guy. I think if you're going to run him, just running him a bunch up the middle is a non-starter. Let's see some pitches. Let's see some creative runs. Let's get him outside because I think he could thrive running the ball outside. And I think as a receiver, man, hopefully they gave him a little pass protection boot camp during the bye, and he can play a little bit more on those third down situations because I think he has a little bit of Jerick McKinnon in him as a receiver. Jerick McKinnon is a really good player, and if he can add that element or even the Damian Williams home run speed element, I think that will be very beneficial to the Chiefs getting through the rest of the season with a suboptimal running back room. All right, guys, that is all we've got for you. Thanks to the chat. You guys always bring it. We appreciate you. If you dig Arrowhead Addict, here's how you can help our community grow. Do me and Sterling here a couple solids. First of all, subscribe here on YouTube. That way you never miss a short or show. If you're an audio listener, consider leaving us a review on Spotify or Apple. 5 stars. 5 stars is what we need from you guys. That would be awesome. And if you do that on Apple, you can leave a question, and we will get to it on Thursday's OG Hour. Lastly, check out the mothership arrowheadaddict.com, powered by the passionate fans at Fansided. Matt Connor and the gang always do a phenomenal job over there. Join us live next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central right here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. Until then, go Chiefs.